Restored on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. I'm Jerry Usher, and Debbie is back. Debbie Georgianni is back today after a one-day hiatus. I guess, was it sweating through the selection process, Debbie, at the jury pool?
Absolutely. It was, but what an amazing experience, Jerry. You know, so many people go in there with their arms crossed, kind of reluctant, quite honestly, a little bit angry looking, you know, going in there. But we learned so much about our government and things that we knew as we learned as kids, but, you know, a refresher course, plus the whole experience. And then the value that so many jurors bring to our legal system. It's so incredible. I really, really enjoyed it. I should say it was a great learning experience. It was enjoyable. Met some new friends. I got some people, actually a wonderful Catholic man is going to be listening to Take Two. So Glenn, if you're listening, Glenn, it was nice meeting you yesterday. He's going to be listening to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. But I went all the way, till the very last minute, Jerry, and they did not pick me for the final jury selection. And I'm kind of glad, actually. I don't think I would have been the right fit for this particular trial.
Well, good. It's good to have you with us here. And like you said, that's a good learning experience for all of us. I know many of our listeners have not only been through the selection process, but have sat on juries before. So great to have you here. And today, Debbie, we are going to talk about Catholic lay organizations. We're going to ask our listeners which ones you're involved in or have been involved in the past. And what we're talking about are groups like the Knights of Columbus. It could be the Catholic Charismatic Renewal, the Legion of Mary, the Society of St. Vincent de Paul. So, Debbie, I think just about everybody's going to be able to relate to this because most of us are involved in some kind of a lay organization.
We thought this would be appropriate on a Friday. We had a wonderful week of shows. And by the way, Jerry, I got to listen to about a third of the show yesterday from the jury assembly room. And I was actually on the chat, the YouTube chat with everybody. So thanks, you guys. You just made me feel so welcome. It was so great, all the great comments that I got to read. Thank you for that. But Jerry, it's interesting because we have all these Catholic lay organizations around us, Jerry, and there's so many of them, but yet we still have folks that will email or call into EWTN and say, hey, is there a Catholic group that does this? Is there, can I find this? The answer is pretty much yes. Everything in the Catholic Church is just so widespread and doing some great community work throughout the world. There are international lay organizations, Jerry, national organizations, and also local organizations that are probably right in your own diocese that are doing great work that uphold the Catholic teachings and are just a wonderful presence out there in the community. And you, of course, mentioned the very great the Knights of Columbus. You're a fourth degree knight. Marty's a fourth degree knight. I have the privilege and honor of emceeing the dinner every year, the dinner the night before our Arizona Rosary celebration, and I wouldn't miss it for the world. And you know, Jerry, I've even flown home very early from Buffalo, New York to make the dinner. But the Knights of Columbus is doing phenomenal work in our communities.
So there you go. We have set the table for you, put the topic out there. Now you take it and run with it and make it another great show on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Here's the phone number, toll free for you, 833-288-EWTN, 833-288-3986. Are you involved in maybe a parish-based lay organization that serves the poor, ministers within the parish? Maybe you're involved in Cursillo. That is a wonderful Catholic lay organization, actually more of a movement as they call it. What else? Retrovi. Maybe you've been involved in helping out with Retrovi. Marriage Encounter, Couples for Christ, CYO, Catholic Youth Organization Sports. So how has your faith life and your family life been bolstered and strengthened by your involvement in a Catholic lay organization? We want to talk about that today at 833-288-3986. We've just mentioned a few of them. There, as Debbie said, there are probably hundreds, maybe thousands of them around the world. So share your experience, Debbie. There are always people who catch things on this program, and somebody might say, wow, you know what, maybe I should be involved in something like that.
Mm-hmm. One of my all-time favorite is the Society of St. Vincent de Paul. I just love the work that they're doing around the country, especially because when I travel, I see a lot of St. Vincent de Paul folks that step up and are there at the masses, after mass. But here in Arizona, we have a very, very vibrant, very active St. Vincent de Paul, Jerry, where there's clinics attached to it and different things. It's just amazing. I remember when they launched that they had like a dental clinic that was attached to it so that people not only could get the skills and the clothing and the fresh start to go back out there in the world and be productive, but they could get a whole new set of teeth because, that's important too when you're on an interview. I mean, let's face it, when you're on an interview, it doesn't go so well, when you can't smile, you can't open your mouth because you're embarrassed of how your teeth look. Well, this clinic is just really doing marvelous work. And I mean, there's little things like that, but big things that help other souls. And you just have to say, Jerry, isn't it so beautiful that they are actually demonstrating the spiritual and corporal works of mercy so beautifully?
Yes, absolutely. All right, phone lines are still open here. They do often tend to fill up fast on the program, so we invite you to call early and quickly here, 833-288-3986. What about, there are a lot of religious congregations that have lay branches, if you will. What about Regnum Christi, the lay branch of the Legionaries of Christ, or Opus Dei? Many lay people are involved in Opus Dei spirituality. And Debbie, there are third order Carmelites and Oblates. My mother was a Redemptorist Oblate. Franciscan Oblates, Dominican, Third Order Dominicans. So, folks, let's get on the phone here. Let's have a conversation about how it's so beautiful within the church, within the Catholic Church, to have these lay movements, organizations, societies, if you will, that we can enter into and participate and really live out our spirituality as a lay person, but still in a very, sometimes a very formal, structured way. A lot of prayer life is structured in some of these organizations. So, what have you been involved in, or are you involved in right now? 833-288-3986.
This is a good show for you to listen and to absorb and maybe take notes so that you can possibly talk with your family and pray with your spouse or your family and say, maybe this is an organization we want to support or start to volunteer at or be part of. But we really need you to weigh in on it because we need your experience of these lay organizations, that it's your experience and what you have to say is going to inspire others to maybe pick up the phone and say, hey, put me on the list for St. Vincent de Paul, or, hey, I want to join the Knights of Columbus. So please don't sit this out. Don't get started with your weekend yet. We want to hear from you at 1-833-288-3986. And when we come back, we're going to dive into all the great work that the Catholic organizations are doing around the world.
Jumpstart your faith. Now coming to a parish conference or retreat near you, world-renowned Catholic radio host Jerry Usher.
It's not enough to stop doing whatever it is that's keeping you from union with God. For most of us, there are serious issues that need to be addressed first in order to be able to embrace that life of virtue. All those things we're all called to, but which every one of us struggles to achieve.
Invite Jerry Usher today. Contact thirdmillenniummedia.com.
Would you like to become a saint? Well, that's great because only saints go to heaven. Oh, but I'm no saint, you say? Think of it this way. A saint is a sinner striving for sanctity who sometimes stumbles and picks himself up by the grace of God and continues the struggle on the royal road of the cross. Mother Church's powerhouse saints and future saints will show us the way on The Good Fight, Saturday, 2 p.m. Eastern on EWTN Radio.
Check out EWTN's official YouTube channel.
Just follow the link on our homepage at EWTN.com or go to YouTube.com/EWTN.
Watch EWTN's live shows or today's homily from the Daily Mass.
Click the upload button to see our most recent clips.
You can also find all of EWTN YouTube content by clicking the playlist button.
It's all on the official EWTN YouTube channel at YouTube.com/EWTN.
Visit.
So glad you're with us here to end our live broadcast week on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. We have an encore evenings and night times if you're on the East Coast, midnight Eastern time. And one of the other things we want to just draw your attention to quickly, we're speaking today about being involved in lay organizations, and many of them I mentioned have prayer at the heart of what they do. And EWTN offers you an opportunity to pray the Holy Rosary, and it's a couple of times a day actually, 5:30 a.m. Eastern Time and 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So both of those times, mark your calendar. If you like to pray the Rosary with other people, this is a great way to do it because you can join in with, who knows, maybe tens or hundreds of thousands around the world. So 5:30 a.m. and 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time, the Rosary on most of these EWTN affiliates.
I remember the day, and you do too, I should say the time when there wasn't the Rosary on the radio or television, right, or the Mass. And isn't it amazing now we have it? You said a couple times a day. I would highly recommend folks joining together and listening to the Rosary, praying the Rosary, sharing it with others, that it's being played on the radio. I think that is so phenomenal. Jerry, you mentioned just a few of the very many organizations that are doing great work, in the pro-life movement and everything. Let's not forget Project Rachel and Rachel's Vineyard and all sorts of programs that are mainly exist to help souls heal and to get folks closer to God and back in alignment with God's will. There's so many Catholic organizations doing that. And Jerry, wouldn't you agree? Like Sarah Club, for instance, look at Vocations for Sarah Club. That's a wonderful organization. Vocation Boom, another wonderful nonprofit organization to be a part of to support vocations. But Jerry, we're hearing in a time where everybody wants to tear down what the Catholic Church is doing. Today on the show, we're trying to build up the great work it's doing.
Well, yeah, from the beginning of the church, the Catholic Church has been the leading, institution. That sounds kind of sterile and sanitized, but the leading, we have led the way, really, in reaching out to others, serving others, and also having organizations within the church that we belong to build up our faith. So let's talk about some of the ones you appreciate or are a part of. 833-288-3986. I just have to say this, Debbie, since you mentioned Marty, your husband is a fourth-degree knight, as am I. I'm going to be disappointed if we don't get one call from a knight today. I'm just going to put that out there. I won't be disappointed. I just hope we do get at least one call from a knight today. Come on, you guys.
I have to say something. You know how they changed the uniform to kind of like the berets instead of the, I call them the foo-foo hats, but the berets. But for a while, as when you would see them at different events or masses or stuff of high priority, there would be a mix of some wearing the beret new uniform and some wearing the older regalia, right? But I just saw recently at an event, Jerry, that everybody had the new uniform on, and it looked phenomenal. It looked really, really good. So I was a little bit unsure about that new look, but now I really like it. I just have to say that.
Yeah, you know what? I don't own the new one yet, but because I've been so busy over the years. I haven't participated in too many of what they call the call-outs. But gosh, it's just great to see the Knights at all kinds of events, special events, and the Knights are so supportive of pro-life, which you were talking about a minute ago. So, listen, we're talking about lay organizations, movements, things that we get involved in. So, if you're involved in the pro-life, maybe 40 Days for Life, let's talk about that. Or Debbie mentioned Rachel's Vineyard, or we've talked about Cursillo, Retrovi, Charismatic Renewal, Knights of Columbus, Legion of Mary, St. Vincent de Paul. I mean, the list goes on and on. It's awesome to be Catholic and to have all these resources available to us. So what are you involved in or have been maybe in the past? 833-288-3986. Okay, you ready to go, Deb? We got a lot of calls.
I am ready. I've got my notebook open, and we're going first to Karen, and Karen is in Buffalo, New York. She's a first-time caller. You get the virtual bell on this. You're listening on the Station of the Cross. Hi, Karen. Welcome.
Hi, Jerry. Hi, Debbie.
Hi, Karen.
Hi, how are you?
Doing well. Thank you.
So I enjoy your shows. I love listening to them, and this is the first time I'm calling in, so I'm glad to be on here.
Good to have you.
We're glad you called, yeah. So tell us, what organization are you involved with?
Okay, I'm involved with Retrovi of Buffalo. It's a marriage ministry for troubled marriages. Mm-hmm. So my husband and I have become involved in the program. We went to Retrovi in January of 2012, and at that point we were ready to, to get a divorce and just to call it quits after 27 years of marriage. And we decided it just happened to see it in the bulletin, so we went to it, and it really, it just changed our lives. And, I'm just so grateful. We were just so grateful to the people that, spent their weekend with us and helped us and, just gave us all the tools that we needed to help to rebuild our marriage. So then after that, we just decided that we wanted to be a part of this to be able to help other people. So we're just so grateful for the people that were involved.
Okay, so Karen, there are a lot of folks listening right now who are married, and maybe they're going to have that very difficult discussion this weekend, saying, you know what, I think we've grown our separate ways or whatever, and let's think about what we should do next. And you and your husband, though, you saw this in the bulletin in 2012, and so now you've joined the core team. It has saved your marriage. It has helped you grow, I'm sure, in faith. You built a community of friends that share the same passion and dedication to marriage as you and your husband do now. And so now you benefited from this from almost 8 years, because you said in 2012 is when you entered in. So Karen, what would you say to those folks right now? See, I could feel the Holy Spirit on this one. What do you say to those couples right now that are about to prepare for that very horrible and difficult discussion that they may be having this weekend of maybe possibly splitting up?
Oh, I would just say, just go ahead and do it, because it's just life-changing, and the Holy Spirit is there for the weekend. It's just truly amazing. Mm-hmm. And I'm just grateful that we did. To give it a try, because you have all those years invested, and it may seem like, there's other better things, and, things can't be any better, that you're done with it or whatever. That's how I felt. I felt that, it's like I don't even really want to even try. But, I did. I said, well, for one, to have a clear conscience, and just to say we tried everything. We have children, and we don't have grandchildren yet, but it's like just children and our families. It's like I couldn't, it's like I thought of that. And so, so then my husband agreed to go and to do this. And we kind of hesitated, because we called about a month before. And in that month, we went back and forth so many times. And they were just like, well, we work, we know you were planning on you coming, and so we didn't want to disappoint them, and we promised to come. So we went. And we were hesitant. Even the last Friday going up to our weekend, we were like, maybe not, maybe we shouldn't, but we did, and we stayed, and it was just amazing. But, truthfully, it's like I would say give it a chance, because it's like I look back and I think to myself, how different would all of our holidays be? How different would our lives be, our children's lives be, starting over? And I just couldn't even imagine. And I would just say, really, put everything behind you and come for the weekend and just work on your marriage, and give yourselves an open mind and an open heart to try it, and, just try it. You have nothing to lose. Right.
Wow, Karen, Debbie was mentioning that there could be, and probably, at any moment there are couples who are having this conversation like, it's over, how are we going to kind of divvy things up and all of that. And you have just, maybe the Holy Spirit has just used you, perhaps, I have no doubt, to save some marriages. By what you just said, it was absolutely beautiful. And you anticipated what I was going to offer as a comment, and that is to say, what does a couple have to lose? A couple of days of your time or whatever, even if you don't think it will help, if you're convinced the marriage is going to end, whatever, just go there. And like you said, I love the way you put it, so you could have a clear conscience moving forward if the split did continue to happen. But see, the Holy Spirit is in the midst of these things, and the church has so many ways of helping to deal with and heal human shortcomings, and they're available to us. That's why groups like Retrovi and the ones we're talking about today are so helpful and important. And it's beautiful, Debbie and Karen, how so many people, when they are helped by an organization, what do? They turn around and get involved and want to give back. And Karen, it's so awesome that you have done that. So thanks for your inspiring call. Anything else, Karen, before we let you go?
Well, I would like to say, if you are in the Buffalo area, we do have a weekend coming up, the 27th, September 27th through the 29th. So it's right around the corner, and it's not too late to register. So if there is anybody, that would like to come, give a call. Our website is helpourmarriage.com or .org, helpourmarriage.org.
Right, and we were actually just going to state that, Karen. It's helpourmarriage.org, and Jeff Burson, our social media manager, is posting that right now on our Take Two website, and you can just go to take2show.com. It's helpourmarriage.org. Thank you, Karen.
Yeah, beautiful first call today. We're talking about lay movements, initiatives, organizations, societies, sodalities, groups, whatever you want to call it.
I like that.
Sodalities, yeah. So are you involved in something? Have you been helped by one like Karen has? Let's talk about that as well. But if you're a participant in one, how does that help you, bloom where you're planted in your faith life, and how have you really given of yourself to help others in lay organizations? 833-288-3986.
Okay, so Mary is up next, and Mary's in Davison, Michigan on Sirius XM 130. Also a first-time caller. We got to give you the virtual bell as well, Mary. Welcome to your show, Take Two.
Thank you for letting me call. Can you hear me?
Very well, very well.
I'm in my car. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm calling in my car. I'm not sure how this works. I belong to an organization in Davison called the Daughters of Isabella. And our organization of women, we stand for unity, charity, and friendship. And we do a lot of charity work. We do baby layups for unwed pregnant mothers. And we do scholarships for girls that are going into college. We're not well known, but we do work with the Knights of Columbus. A lot of people have never heard of us. And we also women's empowerment group. Many of the children in Flint happen to be daughters and sons of parents that are in prison. So while they are in there, we educate the children so that they don't end up like the parents do. We help them out. And we do this by a chicken dinner every year. We do a tea party, and we work at bingo. And that's how we get our monies for these organizations. And we do the newsboys, and there's about 12 or 15 organizations that we contribute money to.
Well, Mary, thank you for bringing this to our attention. I am not that familiar with the Daughters of Isabella. I know of them, and many of our listeners may have heard of them, but I just did a little bit of research as you were talking, and it's founded as kind of a women's auxiliary, female auxiliary to the Knights of Columbus, which I think is beautiful. And Father Michael McGivney, whose cause for canonization is moving forward, was also, I understand, the founder of that in 1897. And you mentioned the main principles, I guess, of the Daughters of Isabella being unity, charity, and friendship, and that very much mirrors what the four principles of the Knights of Columbus are, which are charity, unity, fraternity, and patriotism. So, Debbie, it's great to get a plug in here for the women's kind of women's side of the Knights of Columbus, which we hear about so often, but we don't really hear about the Daughters of Isabella.
I love it. I'm so glad you raised awareness for the Daughters of Isabella, Mary. I'm glad you did that, because there's going to be others that are going to start searching that and saying, hey, you know what? My husband's a knight, my brother's a knight, my uncle's a knight. Now I can join the Daughters of Isabella. I love that. Anything else you'd love to share?
Well, first of all, it's a mistake that you have to be a wife of a knight. You do not have to be. Many women have the wrong conception of that. You can be a woman without a husband, a widow. You can be, as long as you're a Catholic woman, you do not have to be a wife of a knight.
Okay, that's really good to know.
Yes. But we work with the knights. They're very, very wonderful to us. We work very well together.
Yeah, I'm sure you're very good to the Knights, too. Let me ask you real quickly, Mary, before we let you go. The Knights have, I believe they still have it, the Squires. I think it's called the Squires program for men who are not yet 18, youngsters, and to kind of learn the ways and the principles of the Knights without being, because you have to be 18 to belong. Does the Daughters of Isabella have something like that, similar for younger ladies, young girls?
You just have to be 16 years old to join our group.
Okay. Good.
That's awesome.
What most people do is we have applications, and you talk to someone that you might know in our group. We have right now we've got 121 members, and you talk to someone, they give you an application, and then we vote on whether you are accepted or not. And most of the time, they're accepted.
Sure.
What can I ask a question? What would make you decline? May I ask? What would make you decline a submission?
Well, like I say, it's a Catholic organization, so it's Catholic women, and we've never declined anyone. So okay. I really can't say because we mostly accept anyone.
Okay. Good to know.
We feel that everyone is acceptable.
Good. Mary, God bless you. Thanks for for highlighting the Daughters of Isabella, the female kind of auxiliary organization of the Knights of Columbus. I would just say, Debbie, you probably know this because Marty's a 4th degree knight, but the Knights, they have some specifications that you have, qualifications that you have to meet, be a practicing Catholic, 18 years of age, I believe, and of course have to be faithful to the church and not, promoting, I'm faithful to everything, but I'm for abortion or something. Well, I'm sorry, can't be admitted to the Knights of Columbus for something like that. So, all right, take two with Jerry and Debbie, Dan, Jane, Nancy, and the others. We're going to get to all of you today talking about your involvement in lay movements.
Monsignor Charles Pope.
Healthy cultures esteem age. The hoary crown of wisdom is gray hair. In some cultures, younger children, they're expected to stand up in honor of elderly people.
The leading Catholic voices are on EWTN Radio.
This is a Messy Family Minute from Mike and Alicia Hernan. As moms and dads, we have a natural and grace-filled desire to lay down our lives for our children, to provide for their emotional and physical needs as best we can. Moms particularly can tend to burn ourselves out for the children, right, ladies? Lunching on leftover mac and cheese, getting up 5 times a night, cleaning endlessly. How should parents live an ordered life?
The first thing we need to remember is that there is no sacrament of parenthood. You receive the grace to be a parent through the sacrament of matrimony, through your marriage. This is how you will bring grace into your family, through celebrating your marriage. Putting your marriage first is the way to be a great parent.
Dads, sometimes you need to step in and remind your wife that she's first and foremost your beloved bride. It was God's order that you were first married, and from your love came the children. Remember, your marriage is the foundation of your family.
For encouragement and tools to strengthen your marriage and family life, visit us at messyfamilyminute.org.
The wisdom of Mother Angelica.
And if you notice, there's Catholic bashing everywhere you go. They'll have a whole program about nuns who have gone astray. They're hungry for freedom. What freedom? I got more freedom than all you have. I belong to the Lord God. I'm a spouse of Christ. Oh, what can you give me? A car? Keep it.
For more information on Mother Angelica, visit Religious Catalog at EWTNRC.com.
I'm Gloria Purvis.
I'm Monsignor Charles Pope. The Morning Glory team asks, is it sinful for women to work outside the home?
Monday morning, 7 Eastern. Now back to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
This is your show, Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. I'm Debbie Georgiani with Jerry Usher, and hopefully you, because you drive the show. Just a couple things I wanted to share, and that is earlier on the line, I hope I read the comments correctly because I read it pretty fast. Michael McCaul is at the phones today, and he writes in a little comment of when you call in of what you're going to speak about. And Pat was on from Hayes, Kansas, and couldn't hold from Divine Mercy Radio. But the comment said, I believe he and his son are both Knights of Columbus. And I just love that. I love when families do that. There's something beautiful about that, Jerry. When a father and son are participating in living out their Catholic faith through these great organizations. Yes, okay, Michael McCaul just confirmed it. He and his son are both Knights of Columbus. Way to go, Pat. Fathers, please ask your sons to join you in this wonderful organization of the Knights of Columbus. And Jerry, one more thing I just want to put out there because it's Friday and folks can start thinking about it and asking asking their family if this would be okay. We still need several more stories for the first book of the Take Two Real Life series. Folks, we are starting a 7-part series. The first book is Loved Ones Who Have Left the Faith, the number one prayer intention. Loved Ones Who Have Left the Faith. Now, we've received a lot of reversion stories, your own personal spiritual journey of coming back into the faith. That is a future volume. That is a future book. The first book is Loved Ones Who Have Left the Faith. This is from the perspective of a mother, a father, an aunt or uncle, a grandparent. Okay, you're talking about the loved ones that have left the faith and what that has done in the family, how the journey has been, the pivotal moments. Maybe it has a happy ending. Maybe they came back in the Catholic Church. Maybe they haven't. Maybe they're still on the journey. We want the good, the bad, and the ugly. If you can lend us your story, it's only your story is probably only going to be about maybe 4 or 5 pages in the book. But if you could give us your story, we would love to talk to you about it. We'd love for you to be part of the first book. We're going to have 10 or 12 stories, and then there's commentary by Jerry and I on the book, and it should be really wonderful. It's being published through EWTN. You gotta love that, so it's just great. And we're trying to get the first book out by Christmas. Wouldn't that be an amazing gift to give others, Jerry?
Ho, ho, ho. It sure would be. So, yeah, I love that Debbie just nailed it in the explanation there. So if you have a story to share of a loved one who left the faith, they may have come back, maybe not, but we just ask you to contribute this to the book. If you want to, we can change names. We can change some of the specific, as far as, identifying things and stuff. But this is, Debbie said, it's the number one prayer intention. So many people are concerned about loved ones, are praying for them, and some people are rejoicing over loved ones who have returned. So we want to present a book that really, like Debbie says, has the good, the bad, and the ugly, and the success stories that have yet to unfold, have yet to happen. So email us, take2@EWTN.com if you'd like to participate in that.
Yeah, please don't give us the whole story. Just give us your contact information. Jerry and I will call you, because this way you don't have to write out your whole story. So just say, hey, I'm interested, call me. That's all you got to do. But I agree, send us an email, take2@EWTN.com. Okay, back to the phones we shall go. Let's hear what Dan has to say in Tiffin, Ohio, listening on St. John Paul the Great Radio. He's a first-time caller. You get the virtual bell as well. Hi, Dan. Welcome.
Hey, great days to you.
Thank you. Same to you. So what do you want to share with us?
I am a fourth-degree knight recent. March 23rd, which also happened to be my 34th wedding anniversary day, is when I took my fourth degree. Wow. You had asked about activities or uniforms or...
Are you there, Dan? Did we...
I'm here.
Oh, okay. Go ahead. Yeah,
I can answer
please.
whatever questions you may have.
Well, yeah, I'm a fourth degree, and Debbie's husband, Marty, is a fourth degree. I'm just curious, if you can go back to, how many years did you say you've been in the Knights? 30-some years?
Nope. Actually, 9/11 of 17 was when I got my first degree. So I kind of buzzed my way through to get the fourth degree.
Yeah, you sure did.
Kind of the highlight of the moments was that I orchestrated bringing the movie Unplanned to our community. Our community was being looked past because it was small, and I worked with a marketing organization and was able to bring that movie, sold out the first screen, went back to them, said, hey, guess what? Funny thing happened on the way to the movies. We sold it all out. We need a second screen. Got a second screen, sold that movie out 3 days before we even got the ticket.
Wow. That is amazing. Unplanned is the movie that Abby Johnson's story, and it's just fabulous. And Dan, I think you also said, thank you for doing that, but I think you said, Jerry, I think where you're getting the 37 is as you entered in on your 37th wedding anniversary, correct?
34th wedding anniversary.
Oh, 34th.
Okay. The timing has just been so awesome.
Wow.
Also kind of want to point out, and I have to thank Abby Johnson and the directors of the movie. I was nominated for Knight of the Year, both in our council and for our area and in state, and subsequently got it. None of that is an accolade for me because councils make knights. Knights don't make councils. But through the grace of God and through the wonderful interaction with Abby Johnson, the Unplanned movie, and the success we had in our area here, I was put up for Night of the Year, and because I had some opportunities this past 12 months to accomplish some things, I was chosen as Ohio's Night of the Year, and
congratulations!
I'm ever so thankful for the Knights of Columbus.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, congratulations, Dan. And, the one thing, like you said, how did you put it? Councils make knights, knights don't make counselors or something.
Councils make knights, knights don't make councils. And we have 700 brothers, and as iron sharpens iron.
Yeah. Well, again, and I know that the Knights are so giving and so sacrificial and don't want any, I know that typically don't want any personal light shown on them or anything like that. But congratulations on that. And I'm going to ask you, Dan, what prompted you finally to make that leap into the Knights? And like you said, you were so vibrant and enthusiastic about it. You went through your 4 degrees in a very short period of time. What was the kind of the tipping point for you? Because there are a lot of men listening right now, Dan, who might be looking for just such a thing, some way to give of their time and their talents and so forth. What pushed you over the top?
Well, my dad, he's a 4th degree, and I recently pinned my daughter's fiance as a 1st degree.
Great.
But really the tipping point, my dad said, you're getting to a point where, it's time to circulate in the community. And when we were at the state convention, I kind of made the observation of we could have kind of a running definition of what the Knights are. And the answer that came back is it's not what the Knights are, it's what they aren't. The Knights are so multidimensional. And so you asked about what to say to men that are interested. Contact a local council, contact a Knight that you may know of, attend, ask about the meetings. There are so many levels of participation from just being a member only. And if you happen to have a club and, you go there for watch football on Saturday or Sunday, or start to get active in just one activity a year that you really like. And it just kind of snowballs from there. And I can't thank my dad enough for the brotherhood that I enjoy on such a level. And I just kept asking for more. And there is so much more to being a Knight, and you walk the path.
Wow. Hey, Dan, I just want to say to tell your dad how awesome, what an amazing father. You have a great family. Sounds like you have just a beautiful marriage, and now you've it's growing with your daughter getting married. How wonderful is that? Congratulations again on being a Knight of the Year. There is a very good chance I'm going to be in Tiffin, Ohio in November. I would love to meet you. So get in touch with your radio station, St. John Paul the Great, and find out if that actually is coming to fruition, because, wow, I get to shake the hand of the Knight of the Year. I love that.
Well, you'd have to shake all the Knights because they all sharpen me.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Beautiful, Dan. Thanks for the call.
We welcome the opportunity for you to come into our town. Thanks so much. Have a blessed day.
Okay, Dan.
Before you
hang up, we just got a text message saying, "Can we add Dan's family in the book and his father? Can we put your father's name in the book? Is he's with us, right? He's living."
I'm sorry, I buried him Monday.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, Dan. And you know what? Well, you see how the Holy Spirit works? Real quickly, a text came in and said, we need to honor Dan's father's life. And you just, wow. Oh, my goodness. May we have his name? We'll enter into our prayer book for
sure.
The deceased.
Ronald Francis White.
Wow. So sorry for your loss, but he's beaming at this conversation, I'm sure.
It was a beautiful funeral mass. Beautiful. He would have been embarrassed.
I'll bet there were
people came out.
I'll bet there were a few Knights there in full regalia, Dan. I'll bet.
I was one of them.
Yeah,
it was an honor to serve as mass.
Yeah.
But anyways, he'd be so happy. That's I'm forever joyful.
Yes. Praise God.
I'm forever joyful.
Yeah, you have many reasons to be, Dan, I'm sure. Absolutely. But as Debbie said, the Holy Spirit works in amazing ways here, because the book that Debbie keeps names in, Dan, by the way, if you're not familiar with that, it's a big part of the show. It's for the living and the deceased. It's not just for the deceased. So when we asked, obviously we didn't know about the passing of your father and you burying him just 4 days ago. So eternal rest grant unto him, O Lord, and let perpetual light shine upon him. May his soul and the souls of all the faithful departed Through the mercy of God, rest in peace. Amen. Thank you, Dan. God bless you. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you, Dan. Bye-bye.
That was special.
That was so special. I just burst into tears. That was so but I love how the Take Two family just knows. They know that everybody's so connected. It's a global audience, but we're so connected. How beautiful is that? Okay. Wow. Jane is up next in Lewis Center, Ohio, listening on St. Gabriel Radio. Also a first-time caller. Jane, we got to give you that virtual bell as well. Welcome.
Thank you. And I am a member of Regnum Christi. It's Regnum Christi. It's Latin for the Kingdom of Christ. And we're a group of Catholic missionaries who form Christian leaders in order to transform society with the light of the gospel. What's unique about us is that we have 4 vocations, but 1 movement. So it's made up of priests, the Legionaries of Christ, consecrated women, consecrated men, and then lay people like myself. I'm a wife and mother of 6 children.
Wow, God bless you. And Jane, just describe a little bit. I have not been involved with Regnum Christi before, but I have known many, many people, co-workers, in fact, when I was at Catholic Answers, and many people who have been involved in the lay part of the Legionaries of Christ as lay people, not so much consecrated men or women, and obviously not as priests. So as someone such as yourself, what does that consist of? Is there any sort of a pattern of prayer that you participate in that keeps you sort of in sync with the order? How does that work?
Yes. We have a Christ-centered spirituality, and that means we each have experienced in our heart a calling from Christ to live this divine intimacy, this primacy of grace, just to be very close to him. But then he forms us. He forms us into his apostles, and we want to be formed. So we dedicate ourselves by weekly team meetings with each other to help. As I heard Dan's comments about iron sharpening iron, it's also the same principle. So we form ourselves integrally, which means in spiritual, human, intellectual, and apostolic formation, and that's the path for all of the branches of the organization. But me as a lay member, I meet with other lay members weekly to again, forge ourselves in Christian criteria. That way, we can bring the gospel to the culture. As you know, the culture which is waning and dying for lack of Christ.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Boy, that says it all right there, Debbie. And Debbie, it's beautiful to see, and we mentioned this earlier in the program, how we have religious congregations of men and women, priests, brothers and sisters and so forth, and the lay people sometimes are on the outside looking in, but these types of opportunities, Debbie, with organizations and congregations like this, really allow the lay people to really amp up their prayer life and their spiritual lives and be totally connected in not only just in supporting these organizations and congregations, but also really participating in their life and spirituality. I think it's beautiful.
Yeah, you know what? Right. Go ahead, Jane. You want to say something? Go right ahead.
I just want to say yes, and also we're living a Eucharistic-centered life as well. So we centered around the Eucharist and then being fed and nourished by Him, but then also in team life, and then we help each other in a personal accompaniment. So through spiritual direction. I mean, it's so rich and deep, but so needed, and it helps produce these leaders that we need to transform the culture.
Yeah, transform the culture, not conform. We are called to transform the culture, absolutely. Jane, let me ask you this question. I don't know if I caught this on your call. How before you were part of Regnum Christi, can you describe maybe how your spirituality, how your life maybe has changed? Because a lot of folks, before they enter, this is what happens. I used to be at the ministry fairs. I used to be a lay leader in my parish, and we would have these ministry fairs, and people loved the concepts of all these organizations, but in the back of their mind they're thinking, okay, time, commitment, what are they going to want from me? How much do I have to, can I really fit this into my schedule? But yet they miss the whole spiritual experience of how they're going to grow and mature and learn and better themselves. Can you share a little bit how has this changed for you? Like if you look back on your life prior to Regnum Christi, what would you tell folks?
Wow. Yes, I would tell them. Unfortunately, I was following along with the culture and was not living up to my Catholic faith. And what I discovered through a Regnum Christi program, when I came in contact with it, I discovered that the way the church defines marriage and how to live out a Christian marriage is directly contrary to society, what society was telling me. So I had a lot of changes to make, but for the good, right? For the good. And then I also began living a life of grace, which I had not been. So, I mean, that in itself can also just catapult your spiritual life. But then to be in an environment, a community of people who are all striving for this is so important, because you need community. You just need that. You need strengthened, and you need to keep growing in your relationship with Christ. And that is what I've found in Regnum Christi. This complete, like, the spiritual experiences we have are so rich and so deep that I can't even put into words. I can't find them anywhere else. And yet that's what's kept the fire lit in my soul to keep going, to persevere, to keep being an apostle, even though it's extremely difficult. So, but it is a particular calling. It's like I felt Christ calling me in my heart, like he wanted me for this. And when I gave my yes, I have never looked back, and it's been 23 glorious years.
Wow. Yeah, and what these congregations, of course, the same thing with Dominicans, Franciscans, Redemptorists. I mentioned my uncle. My mother was an oblate, and legionaries with the Regnum Christi. What these are just avenues to holiness that really we're all called to anyway. It's just that sometimes, sometimes we don't have the self-discipline, or we just really don't know kind of how to chart that course to living the life of grace that you talked about, or really growing in holiness. So it's an avenue for that, and it provides structure. It provides not only, you said, the community, but accountability as well, because I'm sure Jane, you sign on to something here, and you make a commitment to certain prayer times during the day, and different works of mercy, and just a particular way of life. So thanks, Jane. Beautiful call, Debbie. And this is go ahead.
I was just going to say it was just amazing, so moving and just beautiful. It gives people hope, that they can get on a good path, a path to sainthood, which we're all called to. So thank you, Jane, so very, very much for sharing your personal story. We really appreciate it. Jerry, I know you're going to talk about...
Welcome.
Thank you, Jane.
God bless you. Have a beautiful weekend. I know you're going to talk about the religious catalog. Please remind our folks, too, that Dr. Scott Hahn's The Lamb Supper is on EWTN Religious Catalog, and that's actually going to be our first book coming up in October that we're going to review. So, people can find things on the wonderful Religious Catalog.
Yeah. Debbie and I are starting kind of a Book of the Month club, and we're going to invite you to join with us. And we've got one of our great devoted listeners who is going to be coordinating that for us. So that's exciting. Like she said, Dr. Scott Hahn's book, The Lamb's Supper, is going to be the first one. Hey, pre-order right now and be ready for the Day 2 with Jerry and Debbie book club when it debuts. But also so much else at the EWTN Religious Catalog. I just marvel. And by the way, Nancy, hold on, we're going to get to you in just a second. But I marvel, Debbie, as I think about the trips we made to EWTN and the Shrine of the Most Blessed Sacrament, and to see the gift shop there, which is, I think, representative of the EWTN Religious Catalog, which, folks, you don't have to travel to Hansville to see the great selection of statues and jewelry and books and gifts and sacramentals and medals and so many other things. I'm seeing myself in that gift shop right now, Debbie. So, folks, we're coming up to a time of the year where you've got gift giving. Christmas isn't that far away, but there are things in the fall, back to school. There are people maybe still having, weddings here coming up in the next few weeks. So when you have a gift-giving opportunity in front of you, please make EWTN RC your first stop, and I think you're going to find exactly what you're looking for the person you have a gift that you want to give to. So that's EWTNRC.com.
Sounds great. Okay, Nancy, you're going to wrap up this discussion today on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. We saved the best for last. Spencer, Massachusetts, Sirius XM 130. Hi, Nancy. Welcome.
Hi, welcome to my heart. And
the memories of Stockbridge.
I know.
Now, my comment for today is that I felt called 2 days ago to do the do-it-yourself retreat to the 33 days of morning glory. I did it 3 years ago, and I'm leading a group of 2 other women with me, and it's brought tremendous discipline and holiness back into my life to know that the very first thing you do in the day is to read about God and about Mary, where she brings about Jesus to our hearts at all times. And my second plug is I listen to EWTN live on TV, and I would like to put in a plug for an organization called 7sisters.com. And what this organization is about, and I'm looking into it for myself, is that at least a group of 7 women working with their priests organize a holy hour where they pray for their parish priests and other priests. And I think that is worth looking into for other women to be involved in.
Okay. And Nancy, just a slight little correction on that, because Jerry's very good at looking everything up real quickly so we can post it on take2show.com. It is actually 7sistersapostolate.com. Nancy, 7sistersapostolate.com. I just want to make sure folks, if they're going to go find it, they can get there easily. Is that okay, Nance?
That's fine.
Okay. Hey, Nancy, I sure don't want to embarrass you, but we're down to the close of the show, and I just can't let you go without saying this. Nancy is such a gifted poet. She presented, I'm going to cry. She presented Jerry and I with the most beautiful book, and I mean binder book, of her poetry. And Jerry and I were so moved by the words that she is able to place so perfectly and eloquently on paper to produce just this beautiful tapestry of an experience through her poetry. And we're going to be sharing more of her poetry, actually. We asked Nancy for her permission, and she gave us the binders, and she said, they're yours. Go ahead and use them. And I think that folks will really benefit. So, Nancy, Jerry and I, again, just want to give you that virtual hug. We love you so very much. Thank you for thinking of us.
Well, I do all the time. I listen to your radio program every day, and I think you're blessed people. And we are all a holy people that God unites.
Well, Nancy, we are a blessed people because you're part of the family and everybody else is part of the Take Two family as well. So bless your sweet, dear heart, Nancy. We're going to hear that closing music of the show coming up. This has been a perfect way to end it. You have our prayers and love, Nancy, and thank you so much for all, like Debbie said, all the great and beautiful things you've done for us and for our listeners, keeping all the Take Two family in your prayers. Thanks, Nancy.
Thank you, and God love you.
God love you, too.
Thanks, Nancy.
Wow. Ending the week, heading into the weekend. Nice, great program all the way from start to finish, but a nice little note to end on today, Deb.
It's a beautiful note to end on. And folks, this is just a great way to go into the weekend, really celebrating. Look around you when you go to Mass this weekend of all the great Catholic organizations that are doing phenomenal work in the communities, probably right in your own backyard. So let's honor them. Maybe go up to them and say, hey, thanks for doing what you're doing. It's just a wonderful way to keep them going. But Jerry, we have a Best of Saturday, which is our number one prayer intention, loved ones who have left the faith. That's our Best of on Saturday. And Monday, we've got a new show, Helpful Prayer Practices After Communion. What do you think?
Yeah, folks, be thinking about that over the weekend. It's a good way to come into a Monday following a weekend of attending Mass. When you receive communion, do you say prayers? Do you meditate? Do you give thanks? Do you get on your knees? Do you sit? What do you do to give thanks after receiving communion? That's Monday. Until then, we want to wish you a beautiful and blessed weekend.
Dr. Ray Guarendi avoiding all known forms of psychobabble. The doctor is in next on the EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network.
Catholic Radio gives us an opportunity to become part of a larger